Hello, I'm Terrell Hughes, Director of Public Works for Henrico County, and I wanted to share with you an update on what we're doing in terms of restoring the roads after Winter Storm Fern. One of the big challenges that we're working through right now, anything that we weren't able to get up on Sunday or Monday has frozen together as really a solid sheet of ice. So it's taking our biggest equipment to actually remove that from the roads. We brought in that as well as some additional resources from contractors. These are loaders, motor graders, really heavy pieces of equipment that you typically not see driven on the roadways. That's pretty much what is needed to remove the ice. And even with that equipment, it's taking multiple pieces of equipment and it's taking multiple hours just to get sections of roadways clear. So the response has been delayed essentially by just how much ice that we have on the roadways. During the active event, so that's when there's precipitation falling, whether that be snow, in our case sleet, or even freezing rain, our team is out and we're generally working our primary roads. So we've got a number of primary roads that are designated. Those are worked first. Those were actually worked during the active event. As soon as the event finished, those were the first streets that were cleared, and then we move on to what we would consider our secondary routes. Once we get through those priority routes, that's when we start to work through subdivisions, and typically that's day 2 of the event. So in this particular storm, we would have been working in subdivisions by Tuesday, and that's really when we started to run into some of the challenges with the ice, the refreeze. Salt, that's something. It's in our toolbox, so we've got salt. We have a number of dump trucks that are equipped with spreaders. Unfortunately, right now, the ice, the road temperatures are too low, really, for the salt to activate. Generally speaking, when you get below 20 degrees, that's where that salt really isn't effective. It can be placed down, and we're not necessarily going to get the reaction we need. And even if we were to get some thawing, with the extremely low nighttime temperatures, anything that melted would in fact refreeze. We are using sand in certain situations. Once again, we're using sand in conjunction with salt as we are treating roads and scraping roads. So one of the challenges with sand is just simply placing it on ice can in fact in some cases make the situation more slick. We're also seeing in places where you have sand, as the sun comes out, that sand is essentially just sinking into the ice as it glazes over, and we would have to come back and reapply again. So we do have crews. We're out, we're working, we're trying to address hills, especially some of those main entrances and exits into subdivisions and areas where we're getting calls for vehicles getting stuck. So we understand you may be frustrated, you may have a hill and we haven't gotten there yet. We're working these roads as fast as we can and trying to get to as many neighborhoods as we can. Prior to any snow event, really a week plus before the event, we're constantly tracking the forecasts and we're preparing our team. So in this particular event, we looked at some of the forecasts. I believe Monday, Tuesday, it was projecting 20 inches of snow. So we immediately started to mobilize. We activated all of our contractor teams. We went with our full level of response, started to prepare our vehicles. So that means we were installing the spreader boxes on the dump trucks, installing the plows, and so that we would be ready for the event when it occurred. Knowing and keeping our eye on, hey, this could be snow, this could be sleet, we went with our full response and made sure we had our full fleet of vehicles available to us to help with this response. We haven't seen an event like this in a few decades, so this is not our normal event that we're dealing with, but like I said, we're fully devoted to addressing things as best we can. I just want to let everybody know that we're working as hard as we can. We've been working around the clock. Our team has put a lot of effort into this. We understand that people are frustrated. You may not see action in front of your house, but we'd appreciate your patience through this event. We are getting a lot of calls and people wondering when we're going to get to the streets, and we're working as fast as we can. It is a slow process with dealing with ice. We're not dealing with snow. Had this been snow, we would have probably pushed in and pushed out of a lot of these neighborhoods already. But we are dealing with ice, so just appreciate everyone's patience as we continue to work through this event.